Hello and welcome to another episode of the Neverstraightanswer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joined from his fortress of solitude. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, you know him. He's Mr. Taylor.
Yeah. Hello everybody.
Hey, welcome. Welcome back for another week. New listeners and repeat offenders.
Keep repeating.
Hope you guys are keeping safe. Hope, Taylor, you've been keeping safe.
Oh, yeah, always. Yourself?
Yeah. As of today, it's been... I've been in lockdown now or at home for a year.
For a year?
As of today, yeah. 120 episodes into the podcast. I've been locked in the house. Not all that. I mean, we've been doing the podcast a bit earlier.
Yeah.
But... it's been mad.
No, it's
mad to think about that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit weird when everyone gets back into the old routines, or try and get back into
the new
old
normal.
Routines.
Well,
yeah,
weird one.
Well,
We've got a super-powered episode this week for you.
Yes, we have.
The death of an icon under bizarro circumstances.
Definitely.
This baffled fans and authorities for decades. It's gone down as one of Hollywood's most famous mysteries.
Yes,
we will be talking about the death of George Reeves, a.k.a. Superman. It's going to be a good show, so make sure you stick around for that.
Please do.
What have you been up to this week, Taylor? Have you been up to anything interesting?
I've been doing the usual, to be honest, lately, like into the UFO phenomenon and trying to work some things out, like the stuff of they can see you when you look at them, and
can they see me?
Well, yeah, if you check it out right, you don't get a proper picture, generally. You don't get a proper visual picture. But I can go against that because of now it seems to be that the ships do not seem to be still. They seem to be floating from left to right in a quick kind of pace. So I think there's some kind of energy reason for that. And then you've got stuff like, there's plenty out there where as soon as someone tries and takes a picture, especially in like the 90s and the early 21st century, you get a lot of them where as soon as you start to take the picture,
you've said this
they've
before,
spotted you and they've fucked off.
Do you think that they've got some sort of tracking on you? Is that what you've been looking into? Because I don't want to get too deep.
Yeah, I've been looking into different variations of it and trying to work out connections to see if...
found out anything interesting?
I'm starting to believe that...
Do you know, I can see him there. He's got his board up and he's got bits of string and he's white. He's sat there with his lab coat on and he's winding the string on pins. Sat there thinking about where the connections...
You've got to connect the dots to get the answer. All I want is the truth, mate. You know what I mean?
I mean, did you watch the Mars mission, Mars Perseverance rover?
I didn't, to be honest.
You didn't?
I wasn't even thinking about it, to be honest, until the next day when I
thought
did
it was
get a tweet and I was
TV.
starting to watch it.
I thought it was great. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, whether you believe they did or they didn't. I already started getting tweets saying, nah, they didn't land on the moon. It's fake news, and they didn't land on Mars. But no, from what I gather, they managed to get the little fella up to Mars safely.
Yes.
Jezero crater, I believe they're landing in. Which is supposed to be like a bit of an earth, like a bit of a lake bed. So it's the best chance of finding samples of prehistoric or old school life, I suppose.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to use the little helibopper.
Yeah, they've got a little drone attached, haven't they? But I mean, they launched that up in July 2020. From Cape Canaveral, and you know, I remember it going up and thinking, bloody hell, I've got 7 months now to wait until they finally get there, but they managed it. So I was watching.
And they got there safely, which was the most important thing.
It was flawless. It was absolutely textbook. Everything about it was just like, yep, going to do this next. Yep, it's done it. And there's a point where they totally take the hands off the wheel, if you like, and they let the software take over, and they can't control it. They've got no control. And they've just got to rely on all of the training that they've done. Because, I mean, obviously it's like a learning software, and it's supposed to learn these commands and when to implement the commands. And it managed to do it all. So, it landed
fantastic
perfectly.
Fantastic job for NASA, man. Fantastic.
Good lad. And ladies, and obviously we'll see what happens because it's supposed to have the capability of drilling for samples. And they said they're going to send this back in upcoming missions.
Yes, they're going to throw them into like little
tubes, and then they're going to blast that up to a new satellite, and then manage to get that back to Earth. And they reckon that'll be by 2031. Yeah, so we will have actual samples of Mars on Earth.
Well, you know what? By the time that comes, we would already be sat on there doing our own work.
Well, that's hopefully. What I thought. Well, potentially, would we have already managed to get somebody up there by that point?
Well, if we've got a rover in the area, we might as well land in that area and actually start building that area out so the samples can be just put into a pile where later on, when they've got all the equipment up and ready, just grab it.
It's contaminated as well, isn't it? So we yet to be touched by human interaction to a point. So yeah, I thought it was really cool. I did watch, talking about spacey moony. So I watched a really cool film called Moon. With Sam Rockwell. I mean, it's a bit of an older film now, but I'd not seen it, and I thought it was really, really good. So if you get a chance to check that out, psychological thrillers.
Telling about me before, to be, weren't you? I'm going to give that a little look on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd recommend it. It's available mostly wherever you get movies, I suppose. I'm sure you'll find it. It's called Moon, Sam Rockwell. Check it out. It's really good. Did I not tell you? I put the podcast on the moon. Not on the moon, on Mars.
Not on the moon, yeah. You did tell me the moon, yeah.
And we talk about these future missions, but apparently, the Mars crew, they send up, you can put your name on a list, and they'll send that list up to Mars. Yeah. And we have signed us up to be included in a future mission in 2026, I believe.
2026.
So it says it on the boarding pass. So it says that we'll be going up. First podcast on Mars. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Oh, I hope it is.
We need an astronaut to actually download us from the planet's surface, because there's
step by step though. You know what I mean?
Be the first one to be downloaded.
Let's get there
on
first
Mars.
Before everyone.
We'll be in the charts. Don't forget, we're on Superpod in the next coming week. So in the next coming weeks as well, which is the charity podcast festival. So make sure you check that out as well. We'll be putting a bit more information up as it comes out. So we'll be doing the Superpod thing. So make sure you check it out.
Make sure you do.
We've got an affiliation this week with T Public. T Public are great, actually. Yeah. They do the world's largest array of independent creators who sell their own work at high quality merchandise, I suppose. Every T Public purchase supports independent artists, podcasters, streamers, and other creatives. We're on T Public, so it's got to be awesome, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. If we're on it,
all you got to do is follow the link. You could join up as a creator or just shop and get a bit of high quality goods.
And if you're shopping, don't forget us.
Yeah, check the link in the description, and like I say, join up either way, innit? If you're doing your own merch, then you know where to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's
ideally. Well, like I said, we've got an absolute pearl of a topic this week. I love superhero comics and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? I've always had a love of Superman, especially even as a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When my Superman growing up with Christopher Reeves,
you
know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But I was saying this to you earlier, weren't I? That there seems to be a bit of a curse on the Superman name. Do you know what I mean? Actors who seem to play, Superman, and
once or twice,
especially actors called Reeves.
Yes,
for another one.
Front.
These people supposedly Men of Steel, and come a cropper in a bit of a weird way. So obviously Christopher Reeves incident with he come off a horse, didn't he?
Yeah, he fell off and he broke his neck.
Then you've got the tale of what was he called? Ralph fucking what's his name? You never just know got a job again. the other Superman. I can't remember his name.
I must admit, out of a lot of the stars that I've seen, the number of them there, a lot of them I haven't seen again.
I don't actually recall that guy's name. Do you know the Superman Returns?
Yeah.
I can't be bothered with him. They tried to cast him because he looked like Christopher Reeves, and I only assume that Christopher Reeves got the job because he was named Christopher Reeves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And obviously tonight we're going to be talking about one of the first TV Supermen, George Reeves. The guy was faster than a speeding bullet. He had the power to divert mighty rivers and even run faster than a locomotive. But putting the comic books aside, there's a Superman myth or bit of history in the real life mystery, if you like.
Yeah.
And it's gone unsolved and undetermined for decades.
And I'm not surprised.
It's a bit of kind of a good mystery. I like these types of Hollywood mysteries. Obviously, this week we're going to be looking at the mysterious death of TV Superman George Reeves, and looking at a couple of the conspiracies and a couple of the theories that go along with go with it, because it was kind of mysterious circumstances in which he died, and a lot of people have got their own ideas. So we tried to compile a few of the more well known, and I think we've come up with a few ourselves, maybe. So check it out. Well, on the 16th of June 1959, the actress Phyllis Coates, who was best known for her portrayal of reporter Lois Lane, apparently she received a phone call in the early hours of the morning. Very strange phone call, and apparently it was a woman on the other end called Toni Mannix. She sounded very disturbed, hyperventilating, and she basically said, "The boy's dead. He's been murdered."
Yeah.
But who had killed Superman?
This is a big question.
Well, George started his career under a contract basically from Warner Brothers. He basically appeared in several movies, several cowboy and western films, and even a few war films. He had quite a lot of movies under his belt, didn't he? I mean, I was Googling his IMDb, and just a list. I mean, I think Warner Brothers did have him, when they had these guys and actresses and actors on the books as a contract player, I think they give them films and they might have like a good part in several movies, but they were contracted to do these appearances in all the other properties. So he'd appeared, I think he'd been in like a lot of really popular shows like The Honeymooners, I think one of them was. But
oh, right. So he went into shows.
But only little bits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was contracted to do that. Do you know what I mean? He did. I think Warner Brothers had these sort of things. He was like, like I said earlier on, he was just a bit actor. He didn't have big roles. I think one of his biggest roles was when he was included in the 1939 classic, playing opposite Vivian Leigh as one of the, is it the Tarleton twins in Gone with the Wind?
Yes.
So, that was one of his biggest roles. Yeah. But, it was kind of a side role. He wasn't the main character. Do you know what I mean? Or the main cast.
I think the one that got him was where I can't remember the name of the film, but I think it was the one where he played a soldier injured in a hospital, and he fell in love with the nurse.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, it's really good.
And that one's supposed to be the one that actually got him noticed.
Right, okay. Well, obviously he was doing a lot of work, but by World War II, he obviously, like many people, he was drafted up and ended up in the Air Force. Yeah. I think we were talking about he ended up being an actor in the Air Force, but had other duties. But what was it you were saying? He was given the option to kind of...
Yeah, basically, at the night, he would be the entertainer, for the troops, but through the day, he had his normal duties to do. So he found it quite difficult to do both of them. So he went up to his commanding officer and asked him, basically, I can't do both of them. which one do you want me to do, and I will do it. And basically, his commanding officer said, entertain the troops, because the better morale, the more chance you're going to...
You're a shit shot. I mean, you're the Man of Steel, but, you're a pretty shit soldier. So,
Well, it's true, but actually, reports are coming out at the minute that a lot of people who a lot of soldiers who were in the war was taking more drugs and alcohol to get through.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Get through.
That's why a lot of them came back with, like, alcohol problems, especially...
Yeah.
Well, that's a totally different, thing, but it's like you could go into most wars, that's a result.
That's true.
I mean, like I say, he was in the Air Force as an actor and an entertainer, and, he did that, and that kept him going throughout the war, but when he came back, it meant that there wasn't very many acting roles or acting jobs available. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think even the studios had been stopped making Hollywood pictures and focused on making propaganda movies as well. So in terms of a lot of entertainment stuff that was coming out, it was probably very few and far between, and only the best actors were getting those, getting the jobs, and so he was probably not the greatest.
That are known.
A lot of work going for him, and apparently, I think he ended up digging septic pits between roles. Yeah, and didn't you say he was like one of those? Oh, he was doing his own, and someone went, "Yeah, mate, do you want to do mine?" And he ended up just doing these odd little jobs, or was it a kind of he set up his own little Superman septics?
He needed a septic tank. Basically, his septic tank went, so he brought someone in to have a look about it, and they've turned around and gone, well, you need a new one. So it was $180 back then. So he said, well, if I do some of the work, will you knock some of the money off? So he dug the hole, and he knocked 20 quid off.
Dig.
Just for 20 quid as well. They knocked 20 quid off.
20 quid is a lot of money back then.
Well, yes, but then he still has to pay 150, so you know what I mean? So 160, sorry, so he's still got to pay. So he did that, and then his neighbour had spotted him doing some of the work, so he'd asked, would he do his? So George charged him 100 quid.
Tanks.
I went, yeah.
Nice.
All right,
well, that paid for his. There you go. Done and done.
That's a great career.
Well, you know what I mean? It didn't last. I mean, obviously, he could have gone down. It was like... they called him up and said, excuse me, George, we've got the role of a lifetime here. It's not your normal cup of tea because it's television. Yeah. And at first, he was a bit reluctant to take the role because obviously early days, television was seen as a lesser medium. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit more undignified than film. And
a lot of people listening to
he was a bit worried that people wouldn't, respond to his acting or his gift, as... he did on the big screen. But...
He's showing a lot more, aren't you?
Like I say, he was offered the role of Clark Kent / Superman in the television series The Adventures of Superman. Straight away, the show was going to be a smash success because obviously kids were growing up with the comics. They were all kind of so excited to see Superman on the big screen, and it was going to be a motion picture. There was going to be a movie. I mean, no one could kind of expect it to be as big as it was back in the 50s. And, it's not the same as today when we've got all these channels and so much choice. Imagine how big Marvel is today. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And how big this comic book franchise is today. Yeah, that's how big it would have been. Yeah, you've got, these TV stars. I mean, we were talking about him setting up some organisations, weren't we? What was that called? He set up a charitable organisation.
The Mobile Club. It was for kids because he's always wants to help unprivileged kids and kids that have been on the street and that. He's always been into that kind of.
Yeah, that's what I think. He seemed like a really nice guy, but this is what kind of lead this right. So. There's a couple of things that are coming up here about his character and how, and it makes me think, based on what people are saying about his mindset just towards his death. Yeah. you know, it doesn't it doesn't balance. So, you know, if you look at kind of like he kind of took a pride. I mean, he didn't want to be typecast, apparently, right?
Yeah, no.
As a children's actor, right? But
that's right.
In a lot of respects, it's like the great power comes great responsibility. He liked the idea of being an icon with the kids, and he thought he could use the role of Superman to basically teach him morals, right and wrong, and that was going to be able to translate through that character.
Tolerance, no blood and gore all over the place. Teach him, you know, responsibilities. You know, and
people were all the same, and plus because it's teaching a lesson about an alien from another planet. It teaches, like you say, tolerance and, you know, being able to live with other people with different ways and cultures and stuff like that. He did have
one thing on that. Yeah, he did specifically talk about race, creed, and
he's not
other
from Earth,
religion.
Is he?
Yeah.
You know, he's an alien. He's Superman's from Krypton. He's not...
Yeah. Everyone's got to be tolerant with everyone else.
Well, exactly. So it's like the ultimate tolerance, isn't it? And, you know, like... so
yeah, it seems like a decent geezer to me.
Well, he set up, like you say, he set up charitable organisations and clubs for kids. It's even said that he gave up smoking because he didn't want to be seen smoking in the costume. He didn't want to be seen with a cigarette. You know, if a kid saw him having a cig, it'd kind of shatter the illusion for him. So as far as to say he took his responsibility of portraying the Man of Steel, he took it pretty seriously, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, things have been going pretty well for a while. You know, the show was a huge success, and the fans loved him. I think one of the things we were talking, for example, he set up that club, and he... You know, we got a letter from them saying, you know, the kids want to meet Superman. And when he turned up, there was like 3,000 kids. And because he was
expecting 150.
And because he was such a nice guy, he was like, he wanted to talk to them all and sign everything for him.
And you know what? He did talk to all of them.
The police actually came and they had to break it up. So I thought it was quite cool. Come on, kids, and you got to go home now. Superman's
that just shows you what responsibility he's taking on board, and like that the kids actually reacted to.
George Reeves was Superman. Yeah. And how he looked in those early comic strips as well is just that he
has got that character.
He's got the look, hasn't he? And I love his Clark Kent look as well. You know, the roundish, geeky glasses, and you know, he just had he could play both, and that's the difference. It's like when we look at like actors now, when we think, right, who could play Batman, and you're not only looking for an actor who can play Batman or Superman, you need somebody who can play both Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne and Superman and Batman, and you've got, well, not all four, but you know, the alter egos. So
you've got to build that character up, haven't you? And you've got to build it as an actor up in your imagination and follow it and make sure you know how to turn that off when you need to turn the other character on.
Well, I mean, obviously, sky's the limit at the time, though. Do you know, everything's going pretty cool for George. But after a few years, I think there was a couple of incidents, weren't there, over the years. He started getting more frustrated. Didn't he? So he was talking, he had a car accident.
In 1955, he started. There was reports coming out. He told the reporter that he was looking at doing 13th episode, and then that was it, 13 more. And then in 1956, he had an accident where in the Star News paper in January 1957. Sorry, I'll start that again. January 19th, 1957, it was reported that Superman suing for damages after wreck, hurting like a normal immortal.
Yeah.
So
trying to have a pop at his superhero status and you know, impenetrable, you know, Superman man.
Yeah, so people were getting less interested now because the same old thing was going over and over again.
I think it's the same with any property, isn't it? I mean, it's it does start to get to a point where
it gets a bit stagnated.
Yeah, maybe. Like, especially with it's getting into season 4 or 5 with Superman. Is he getting kind of bored? I think he became a bit more frustrated. There were talks in whether they were going to be carrying on with the Superman
he was
TV
getting older
show
as well, though.
But I think he was
coming through.
He was interested in doing a few other projects as well, which had fallen through. And I think, he was a bit down in the dumps, a bit limp in the cape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
that point.
True.
I think he'd been kind of having an affair as well. Yeah, right.
Oh, yes, he was.
Well, he'd been having an affair with the wife of MGM producer Eddie Mannix. Tony Mannix was apparently Reeves' lover and began the affair with Mannix's wife, Tony, in 1951.
Yeah.
Eddie reportedly approved, which was basically considered an open secret. They had a bit of an open relationship, and he was involved with a long-time affair with a Japanese woman, and since they were Catholic, it was believed they didn't believe in divorce, so this arrangement sort of continued and suited them for the next several years. So
fair enough. If they were both happy with how the arrangement
well, yeah, it's like his common law wife, isn't it? But I mean, it's like
we can't get rid.
Well, that was until he met. Leon Lemon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, she was known in the early fucking days as a bit of a party girl. She was a member of the so-called Cafe Society, and she was well known around the nightclubs, and she was infamous for being one of the only women ever to be tossed out of the Stork Club for fist fighting. Yeah, so she was a bit of a rum one.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
definitely a bit of a rummer.
Superman started seeing one of the baddies by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it
sounds like an episode of... It does sound like an episode of Superman, like a bit kapow kasplat. It reminds me of 1966 Batman when you used to get like Catwoman coming onto Batman, and Batman's like, I can't, I'm too, noble for this. And like he goes, I'm sorry, but you're evil. Yeah. I'm a eunuch.
I can't touch you, you're baddie.
Well, it's reported that Tony Mannix wasn't actually happy about this. Obviously, she'd been in a relationship with Reeves, and all of a sudden he's gone, nah, tossed her to the side and started seeing Miss Lemon. Obviously, she's started
in between.
Really harassing both of them. Yeah, right, to the point where they needed a restraining order against her. So, there's a bit of bad blood there for a start. The night of Reeves' death, it's reported that Reeves had found out that the Superman TV show was potentially being picked up by Kellogg's for a 7th season. So George was said to be in high spirits, and they decided to head out to the Paul's Bar, for some drinks and celebration. Now, George was said to be a bit of a drinker, but you need to kind of have this in context of the time, you see. Because, I mean, we've all seen Mad Men. You know what I mean? Mad Men. It's, it's the time, man. It's like they were all like fucking whiskies and drinking in the office and all the rest of it. And researcher Jan Allen Henderson, an author of the book Speeding Bullet, seems to agree. He says that he was no more drunk than anyone in Hollywood at that time.
It was just normal.
It was the scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But going back to Reeves' work ethic, when it came up to the role of Superman and his responsibilities that came with it, would that not be in character? Like I said earlier, he gave up smoking because he didn't want to be seen in the costume smoking a cigarette. Does this sound like the same person?
Well, yeah, because there was something he used to say. A good actor is an actor that's working. A bad actor is one that's not.
Well,
doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter what the price is. If you're acting, then you're a good actor. And he supposedly kept that kind of mantra kind of thing.
Well,
so yeah, I think he was the same. I just think he's had the shit family life for a little bit. There's been things happening there. His work career hadn't been going so well. So now some opportunities. Do you think he's drunk a little bit over the top and maybe
he might even if he went a bit over the top, is that the actions of somebody who's about to throw it all away and commit suicide? Because that's what's been led to believe with it. And you know, I mean, this researcher, this author, he interviewed one of the staff at the club that night. Yeah, right. I mean, just basically, this guy knew him. He was a piano player. He was called Merrill Sparks. I think he said he knew George. And when he saw him in the club that night, he was a little cut, but nothing to get worried about. I mean, he was sat so close that they could literally touch each other. You know, and he came in and he enjoyed a bit of the jazz piano, so he'd sit there for a set. And he said that night,
that's why he's there, isn't
he was there, he was
himself.
smoozing, he wasn't drinking any more than, you know, anyone would kind of get worried about. And
no extra arguments or anything in there,
or this
any
is the
incidents.
Thing. Lemon and George did leave the club where there were accounts of them having an heated argument outside. But this is where the holes start appearing in the story. Yeah. So George lived about 5 or 6 miles away, and the club is basically, I mean, his place was like through all these mountainous, sort of canyony, winding roads.
Up in the hills.
So it's quite treacherous, about 5 or 6 miles from the club. But he was said to have the amount of alcohol that was in his system that he was no way that this person could have drove. Yeah, and you know he was twice over the limit with an alcohol measurement of 2.7. Yeah. Now this
ain't
is
too bad.
Yeah, I know, but they found this out during the autopsy. Right now, they couldn't have done the autopsy correctly because that has to go to the coroner. Yeah, but it wasn't sent to the coroner. The body was sent to the morgue first when they prepared it for burying or for you know, for final rites, if you like, right? So it's been washed, it's been embalmed, right? It even dyed his hair.
Evidence has been taken away.
So, and that's a really key thing because what had happened was, when he died, I mean, we'll get into this now. You know, I mean, firstly, he was supposed to have been really drunk. When we got to when he left the club, he'd been having an argument with his fiancée at the time, who was Leon Lemon. George, like, I suppose he'd been so drunk that he couldn't have even drove the car. Yeah, but his fiancée was nearsighted, and she said she didn't drive. That makes me think there was somebody else with him. Yeah. Right.
There was definitely no cab. It's their car. So if it was their car, then there would have to have been someone else.
But nobody was reported to be with them at the time.
But then again, she could have drove really, really slowly.
So, you know, rather George drove him home, or she did, or someone else was there in the car. Do you know what? These actually one of the people who was with him at the house, Robert Corden. Yeah, he was a writer. He'd been staying with them, and I think he could have been out in the club with them, to be honest, and drove. Yeah, because
you're not going to leave him at home where you celebrating, would you? Really?
No, you'd say, "Come on, mate, you coming out for a few?" Yeah. And if he said no, well, I mean, potentially he could have, because apparently one of the other people who were there was his partner, Carol von Ruckel, which was Robert's girlfriend, and I assume she was round at the house as well. Because when George
when they're gone out
and Miss Lemon arrived back at the house, the argument continued, but George had enough, and he ended up going upstairs and said, "I'm going to bed." Right?
Yeah.
So, the party continues downstairs. You've got Robert, you've got his girlfriend Carol, and now Lemon as well. Yeah. Right? And next minute, there's a knock at the door, and it's one of the neighbours, right? Now, none of the neighbours I mean, none of the people in the house at this point knew this guy, right?
Yeah, they really didn't know him. He's just turned out.
Just turned up.
Nowhere, really.
And this is at like 1 a.m., right? So Bill Bliss, or William Bliss, has turned up saying, I'd seen the lights on, and I just thought, we were having a party, and I thought I'd knock on and join you, right?
Yeah, why not? So
next minute, George has come down the stairs and had a right go at Bill. Yeah, and he's like,
just woke me up.
I'm tired, I'm not having a party, and it kicks off, but then they calm him down, and he ends up inviting Bill in to have a drink, right?
Yeah, which is a questionable thing. Yet again, why is this stranger who's supposedly a neighbour I've never seen before?
The only person who could have known him was George, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he was rather so drunk that he just didn't know what was going on, or
just let him in.
Or he was a legitimate neighbour, but it's a bit kind of bizarre, that, right? Yeah, because so this is who's in the house. This is the whole gang, right? By this point, right? The only other person who ever came near the house was apparently Bill's wife, who said was supposed to come over to get him. Yeah, but she never entered the property. But she did see George come down the stairs and argue with them before heading back up. Right. But never once thought to knock on. Yeah, and go, Bill, come on. He's got stuff to do in the morning.
That makes me think then he's been up and down at least twice that night then, because he come down to see William at the door, then he's gone back up, and then she's seen him come down at another time, because it won't be at the same time. So at least twice he's come down. So there's a guarantee.
Well, there you go, right? So Reeves has gone, basically, I'm going back to bed, right? And I'm going to leave you guys there. Now, I think the argument must have carried on because Lemon started giving this bit of a kind of commentary as he was heading up the stairs, and she was like, there he goes upstairs to shoot himself, as she kind of explained that to the other guests. And, next thing, the guests have reported to said that he went upstairs, they heard a drawer opening and then a single gunshot. Right.
Yeah, moments later,
that's what they all claimed, and that's what they told the police. And when the cops arrived on the scene, Lemon told them that she'd only been kidding when she made these strange remarks. Then they found George upstairs on his bed with a Luger between his feet and a bullet hole in his head. The crime scene was strange, and it looked like the things had been arranged in a way that made it look like George Reeves had taken his own life, and the police ruled the death as suicide. But there's a lot of people who do believe that it was strange circumstances. And even the LA Times newspaper noted on an element of mystery surrounding the death.
Yeah.
Reeves' mother even refused to believe that her son had killed himself and hired a Hollywood lawyer to investigate, and even called for a second autopsy.
Yeah, and supposedly when they were going to crisp him, they were going to. She sent a letter stating not to, and apparently they ignored it and carried on.
Well, the problem, like I was saying earlier, most of the problem was that they couldn't get any evidence because of the mistakes that were made so early on. Instead of being sent to the mortuary to the coroner's office to have an autopsy and get all this evidence taken, it was taken to the morgue and prepared for final rites. So there was never any evidence to support anything. So the whole mystery was kind of dodgy, I think.
Yeah, well, the timing alone is an hour before anyone even communicated with a police officer or a doctor or any kind of thing like that.
Like I say, the police seem to be fucking like absolute idiots. They never checked Reeves' fingerprints for residue. To see if he actually pulled the trigger or not. And in a case like that, I think that's kind of one of the standard procedures. They questioned anyone present on the scene for like 2 hours, and then they let them all go free.
Yeah,
to the point where
it was a lot of mistakes by the authorities. Probably, but the question is it deliberately?
Well, apparently there was a lot of bruises on Reeves as well around his head and body. However, these were actually later said to be inflicted by his friend Glenn LaBelle, who claimed that they were training that day, and he seemed pretty kind of happy about the fact that he was the one who inflicted them in a training session.
What a mate.
You know what I mean? He was like, yep, nope, that was me. Glenn actually was a good friend of George, and he said he went over to his place after the death and noticed a few things out of place. He said that he saw a rug in one of the rooms was in the wrong place, and when he went to move it, he noticed 5 bullet holes in the floor. Yeah.
Yes,
so this is another thing
as well.
There was a lot of reports throughout this about multiple bullet holes
in the building,
in the property. Now,
except for that night, there seems to have been only one shot. But even the neighbours.
But then some people are claiming Reeves was a bit of a gun nut, but other than the holes in his property, which there seem to be a few, there's nothing to support it.
And don't forget the when he committed suicide, the bullet that shot him, the round come out and landed in front of him, and he lay on top of the round.
He was round.
No,
the actual shell or the casing.
The shell itself.
The casing, was. He was laying on top of the casing.
Yeah, which couldn't have happened unless
the actual slug was in the ceiling behind him, just before you hit the ceiling, top of the wall. Yeah. So I mean, it could have been a headshot, but from that angle, it would have been like through in the mouth, and then it's got more of. I
think the casing would have gone further as well, myself, unless he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
How can that happen? Yeah, right. It's almost like someone's threw the casing on the bed and then threw him on the bed, and then he's just been lay on top of it.
Yeah.
There was no thought. It was amateurish. Yeah, there was no sort of like, right, we're going to think about this and do this. Really, we'll get the bleach. So there's no thing, anything. There's no thought. It was just
but then again,
which makes me believe that it could have been an
accidental
death. Yeah,
but there has been so many mistakes that it could be an actual cleanup, but deliberately done as mistake here, mistake there. Or what can we do? We can't do anything now.
Well, when Glenn contacted the dumbass police officers that were investigating it, they basically told him if he didn't leave it alone and leave the property and never return, he'd be going to jail. Yeah. So that kind of fills you with confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Glenn wasn't the only person to even, return, and not even one of the only suspects to return to Reeves' property. Lenore Lemon returned back to the house during the long investigation and removed $3,000 to $4,000 worth of travelers' checks, which were supposedly what they were putting aside for their honeymoon.
Yeah.
And she'd even bailed before the funeral, so she never even attended.
It was actually a week after.
Yeah,
actually a week after.
She never even attended his funeral, and this was supposed to be her fiancé. Do you know what I mean? And I can understand grief and all the rest of it, but you'd go, wouldn't you? You'd go to your fiancé's funeral.
Yeah, there's got to be. There's something there to stop her from going there, and the question is, what is it that she thinks she's a suspect? Because she is the suspect.
Well, she is a suspect. I think she is. I mean, right. So the list of the people who are suspects at this point in my book, you've got Tony Mannix and Eddie, right?
Yeah.
You've got Lemon, yeah.
Yes.
And the two people who were the other couple. So is it Robert and Carol? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've also got Bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, looking at it this way, right? Tony, right, hired a contractor to do up the house for sale after apparently the contractor said that the place was riddled with bullet holes. Now, stuff like this, is it just popularization? Is it people adding to the story? So I knew a guy who knew a guy who was a contractor for, you know what I mean? And there was more and more added to it. Or is it just kind of, or is it true? Do you know what I mean? You don't know.
Because
the interviews with the neighbours claim that there was only one shot that night. I mean, perhaps his involvement with a married woman, Tony, do you know, was enough. Do you know, maybe he says, oh, yeah, I knew about it, Eddie. Eddie says, yeah, I knew about it. It was all good, yeah, but he didn't really know about it. And when he found out, he got his revenge. Do you know what I mean? And by him saying, oh, yeah, I knew about it, we've got this open relationship, yeah. Which is, it's his get out of court clause, isn't it? Because it's like, well, why would I be jealous? I've got an open relationship.
Yeah, and he's helped a lot of stars, and like
we'll
get
into this,
about...
because Eddie was known as a bit of a fixer, weren't he, in the MGM golden age of Hollywood? I mean, he was one of those kind of Mr. Wolfs. Yeah, it's like, I've got a bit of a problem.
Got some friends.
I've got a bit of a problem around my house. I need to get rid of it. It's rolled up in a rug. And he'll go, leave it to me, sir. I'll get rid of it. No problems, no questions asked. Star. Yeah, that's what he's kind of... I mean, nobody can say that was legit, right? But apparently that was the rumour, and that was his reputation, that he went round, you know, like he was... He'd do jobs... getting rid of problems, make problems vanish.
Helper.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, so could it be that, you know, she's gone to Eddie and said, listen, he's fucked me over here. I was seeing him and now he's dumped me for this other piece. Yeah, right. Yeah. Who's trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she weren't getting any more money because he wasn't acting anymore. There was problems within the relationship. They might have this one more role.
No, but I do believe Tony did love George. That's the thing. Yeah, I think she was with him, and he ended it for this other piece of arm candy or this other lady, right? Yeah. And she was genuinely heartbroken. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, was she heartbroken enough to get revenge rather herself, or put her husband onto it, or was it her his fiance, knowing that he was running out of money, he's not really doing much. You know, he's getting turned down for jobs. You know, he's down in the dumps, drinking a bit. Exactly.
I might as well take the money and fuck off.
Yeah. Or could it have been somebody else? Could it have been like the Robert? Could he have been having an affair with one of the ladies? You know, there's so many questions. It's like I said to you the other day, I said, who do you think is... and you went, I think they all did it. And you know what? You are kind of right in one respect. It's like they've all got a motive
to each other.
They've definitely all got a motive.
Yeah, they're definitely all in it. None of them could turn around and say, "Well, one, I weren't there," because you were all there. So if you were all there, you're all guilty for the same fact. Just because you didn't stop it, you're all guilty for the same fact. And just because you walked away from there and there's nothing like been done, you've still done it.
Well, yeah, Eddie Mannix was definitely rumoured to have mafia connections, and could have killed Reeves.
I think they'd be doing more cleaner than that, to be honest.
Well,
I'll be honest on that one.
What theories are you subscribing to then? Because you've got the idea that George could have started seeing Tony again. Yeah, and that's why Lemon killed him. Or, like you say, got run out of money, or it's like, I've got to get out of this, you know.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I don't think he did it himself. It was definitely. Well, it has to be all of them, because all of them were there at that same time.
I think, right, considering that they've come home, they've had this argument, right, and it seems to have blown up embarrassingly in front of company, right? Yeah. So Reeves has gone, I'm going upstairs Yeah, right. He's probably doesn't want to do this in front of people. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
know what happens in arguments? People follow you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could be like, oh, I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to discuss it.
I'm talking
I've
to
had
you.
a drink and I'm going
you
upstairs. Next minute, she's followed you upstairs, right? The rest of the guests are sat downstairs. She's probably upstairs kicking off at each other, having a bit of a row. Yeah. When the guns come into play, right? Now,
you saying domestic.
It's turned into a domestic, right? Now, the guns being waved about explains extra bullet holes in the floor.
Yeah, but there wasn't the sound of 5 shots.
Yeah, I know. But you've got the argument that the neighbour heard 1 shot. But one of the neighbours, how do we know this isn't the neighbour that was actually on the scene? Bill Bliss, right?
Also use a
who was the one who said that, right? How do we know that it was a bit of a Brookside moment where everyone was covering for everyone's back, and it was like accidental death. She's popped off the gun. A few shots have gone pinging here and there and putting holes in the floor and whatnot. And then in the heat of the moment, she's fucking sprayed the gun. I mean, he's ended up getting a bullet in the head.
Yeah, I can... No, because it's been far too long now that, it's even on their... At least...
Well, she was released hours later.
At least on their deathbeds, they would have said...
No, not necessarily.
I would imagine so.
You think that everybody's going to be like, oh, I've got to get this off my chest.
But there's a lot of people out there who would probably has already thought up what they're going to say in their last breath if they get the chance. But then again,
if you've got something to be,
if you've got something like in the closet or something, you want to go. You know what? I want to make sure people know. I'll tell them right at the end. Bam. You know what I mean?
If you like. But,
then again, you don't know how the others died, so they might die quick, so you couldn't say shit.
I mean, there's quite a lot of different theories.
Definitely.
Where the evidence was found, like stuff like shells and kind of... the arrangement of things and where the body was they just didn't add up. Do you think that... it was over money, or do you think it was just a case of that she was a bit of a party girl, weren't she? I mean, obviously she's come back for the honeymoon money. She never attended the funeral.
Like
care at the end of well, there you go. If she cared enough that his job was making him miserable and she wanted him to quit, then she would have been at his funeral. Yeah, and that's I'd hope that no matter what situation I died in, my fiance would make the effort to be at my funeral, and not fuck off still part way through the investigation to another city, taking the honeymoon money with me,
But then I've got to ask, could there be a third party involved on the transfer through that?
I think there was a third party, and it was potentially Robert or Bill.
The neighbours...
Listen, here we go. Right. Why would Jan, Bill's wife, be peering through the window but not coming in the house, right? Because she wasn't spying on George, she was spying on Bill. Her husband, who she suspected was having an affair with somebody, right? So that's why she wasn't trying to knock on or find Bill. She was looking for Bill, but she was spying on Bill, right? So you've got potentially Bill, the CIA fucking neighbour, right? KGB mafia agent neighbour, right? Who's having an affair on Jan, right? Then you've also got Robert and Carol, the friend staying on the couch, right? Who could potentially be having a bit with Lemon or Swing. Or they could all be swingers. And something's happened that's, kind of...
Someone didn't like... A bit of jealousy here.
Yeah, a bit of jealousy. And it got...
It's kicked off.
Yeah, kicked off. It's been a conspiracy to cover up what really happened to protect somebody in an accidental situation.
That could be a good reason why he was naked. Why they found him naked.
Oh, is that what they found him naked? Yeah.
They found him naked, naked. But another thing that got me was where the gun fat was found.
Between his ankles, weren't he? Like,
it was like, I can't see that.
Did he dust the gun for prints?
I don't know. To be honest, they never done the other jobs properly, so I don't think there was actually no mention of it, of the actual pistol. They even mentioned when they took.
Well, no, it was a Luger. It was I actually do have. It was a Luger, but it was a 9mm. So it was. It weren't a mega powerful gun, but it was close range. Do you know what I mean? Close range. But it was a service revolver. So I wouldn't say it would have been finger. I mean, do you reckon it could have been a paid hit? Because I think it's too dirty. I don't. If you're going to get a professional involved, I think it would have been a lot cleaner. Yeah, it was pretty amateur.
You know what I mean? There is dirty fingerprints and evidence everywhere, but you can't use any of it because the main evidence is like being cleaned and fucking cremated. You know what I mean? So it's a case of you've got rid of the evidence too fast. That's what it's the kind of thing.
That's the main thing with me, because it's like it does ask. You try and get answers,
too many mistakes,
and you find more questions. So it's like a lot of it is dead frustrating. So but you can see that there's definitely something going on there, and
it definitely is not straightforward.
No, but I think anybody who's bloody got a fucking bit of.
You might have a right idea that it ended up being some kind of accident, and then it's a case of to help Lemon, let's say, from she's an innocent girl.
Well, she might have, I mean, she didn't sound that innocent, right? She sounded like a bit of a rebel, but I mean,
animal,
well, so listen, if she was fucking waving a gun about, even in fucking like jest or in a heated argument, and it's gone off, then I'm sorry, but she's. Shit happens, but
But the orgy thing, actually, if you think about it, because they're not going to start putting pants on him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a case of. I'd like to know more, like where the clothes.
Yeah, because somebody actually, do you know what? It was like you could have argued that it was like Russian roulette they were all playing, but apparently it was a clip. And it's apparently it's not the same as playing Russian roulette with like a barrel in your gun.
It's gone.
It's like
dead, mate.
Ow, dead.
Second one, you got to get
exactly. So it's like,
but you could have put empty cartridges in there.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? It's like it takes it out of the equation in terms of
it does.
Possibilities. It's like, hey, what were they doing? Were they all just playing fucking Russian roulette or something? And it's like, no.
Because I was thinking before, if it was a revolver, because if it's a revolver, then you wouldn't have it. No,
if it was a revolver, then that adds another dimension, doesn't it? Because it's like we were having a sex game or we were playing Russian roulette, and unfortunately, it went wrong, and he ended up dead. Yeah, right. But again, it's like an hysterical moment in it. It's like if you're even if it's like an argument and an accident, legitimate accident, and you've, done that, you're going to have this moment of hysterics where you're going to be fucking, my life's over, I'm going to jail, I've just killed my fiance. You'd have the rest of the house, whoever was there, trying to calm you down and trying to make you feel like, we're going to do everything we can to not let that happen. You're not going to jail. It was an accident. We can all back you up. Now it's how you handle it. You rather go to the police and say, shit, accident happened. This is honestly what happened, and I've got witnesses. Or she might not have had witnesses. It could be just the fact that she could have shot him point blank in the face and then did an hysterical fucking, I didn't mean it.
But to me, because everyone who was there and nothing has actually come out of it, non-actual truth, then they're all countable. They're all countable at the end of the day.
I think, like you were saying, you were bang on the money when I asked you on your first overall analysis of the stuff. I said, who do you think did it? And you went, they all did it. And I just went, yeah I kind of get that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no excuse. There's no excuse. If you didn't pull the trigger, you were still there, and you still to this day have not said who or what.
No,
or
it's
why.
really funny, right? Is when we started the show, we talked about Lois Lane. Yeah, right?
Yes.
And a phone call she got. Now, you might have thought that was just like a bit of an intro, but it's actually, going back to it, is really quite important because...
Yes. Definitely.
This is a really big clue, yeah, right? Because this phone call she got related to Tony, right? Who was the person making the phone call, right? Now, when she rang, she didn't say he's died, he's been in an accident, or he's committed suicide. She said the boy is dead, he's been murdered. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right?
They murdered him, and it's like, what the... So, but then it's one of them of like, how does she know about that?
Well, firstly, she must have had that information. She said she received the message by telegram, yeah, and it was
mobile.
dated at around just after 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Lois Lane, or Phyllis, she didn't get the information until like 4 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Glenn, who we were talking about earlier, he says he received the information just after 1 o'clock, right, in the early hours of the morning. And it's like there's one person getting the information about within 20 minutes of it's supposed to have happening, or supposedly happening, and then someone within an hour. So, you know, it's like, how do these people get this information? It was almost if it was like prearranged, and, you know, this information was almost let out a little bit too early. Yeah. And the times don't stack up. It,
there was an hour beforehand that was like,
that's what I'm saying.
Now we can sort all that. So in that time, they're sending out fucking, you know, today's text messages, basically.
Yeah, no, but that adds up if it was like, listen, right, George Reeves is at the club, right? He's pissed somebody off, right? And somebody's turned around and went, George Reeves is dead. Yeah, right? And then the telegram's gone out like a hit. Yeah, right? And by the time people have heard the news that George Reeves is dead, he actually is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of the only way it could stack up. If that was...
That's kind of dangerous, that, though.
Because if it was let out
beforehand.
If it was let out before... Well, he's pissed up, apparently, and on his way home to bed. Do you know what I mean? So who... Could it be that... I mean, somebody totally unrelated to the story so far... was somebody at the club...
got away with it.
Has done it,
well,
or set something up. Or,
there's always a patsy as well.
Mate, he could have pissed on somebody's hush puppies at the urinal for all I know that night, and it was like, that could have been the thing that got him killed. You don't know. But,
well,
you know,
that is very true.
Anyway.
Very true. Very true. There is different aspects, and there's so many holes that it's like... Oh,
God, I couldn't definitively say which one was true, because they're all a suspect, and they've all got a motive.
Yeah.
It's like the most impossible game of Cluedo ever. Do you know what I mean? I think it was... And they've even got quite a literary names as well. Leon and Lemon.
Yeah, that's true,
and fucking all this. You know? I think it was in the bedroom with the gun.
Yeah, personally. With a naked body.
So, well... What do you think? What do you think personally? I mean, what's your views on it? I mean, I think it's a great story. I mean, in terms of mysteries.
It's going to be a really hard one to actually solve. If it's solvable now.
I mean, maybe something we're missing. If there's anything we're missing and you think you've got the answers, you get in touch.
Yeah.
I mean, today Reeves is remembered as one of the first on-screen Superman, an icon to millions of kids and adults alike. I'd say he was a true legend.
And he changed him into being a crime fighter to actually responsible hero for the kids.
Definitely. I mean, this is it. I mean, I think he just saw him as a crime fighting, like a crime fighting role. But you know, he elevated the character, didn't he?
Into the
yeah,
character.
He totally did. And I think there's a lot about Superman that, you know, is attributed to George Reeves as well. So, you know, and I mean, he played him for a good fair few years. Yeah, and I think this is it. It's a strange mystery, and one that will probably go down forever as one of those unsolved cases.
It's the JFK case, mate. It's the JFK.
Well, we were talking earlier that there is a little bit of a curse with Reeves, or people playing Superman, I suppose. You've got obviously George Reeves, murdered or death by mysterious circumstances. You've got Christopher Reeves come off a horse. Then you've got Dean Cain. What's he doing these days? Is he doing much? I think mostly it's you're cursed with a shocking career after you've played Superman, isn't it?
Well, don't say that now, because the one who's playing Superman at the moment, he might leave
Henry
it.
Cavill.
Let's see what happens to him.
Oh yeah, he did Witcher, didn't he? But I mean, I think I'm never going to get over that terrible moustache thing in Justice League.
Yeah.
So,
because he brought that into, was it in Mission Impossible?
Well, this is the thing. He was supposed to, he was in Mission Impossible, right? But he'd supposed to have finished filming Justice League. So then they went, we need him back for some reshoots, and he was like, but he's got a moustache now. And he went, well, can he shave it off? And he went, no. We need it. He's under contract to have a moustache. Right. So they said the best we can do is let you film him with the moustache, and then, why didn't they just shave it off and give him a prosthetic moustache or something?
CGI?
Well, no, that's what they did.
Over there?
That's what they did. They covered it up with CGI, and it looked fucking horrible. It looked like he had a plastic lip that was just like flopping away, trying to cover up this moustache. But it's so blatantly obvious. If you're ever watching Justice League, you can see his
I saw it a couple of months
fucking
back,
plastic lip.
I didn't really notice.
I just found it really funny though, because it was the people from what was it, the Mission Impossible film, just being twats about it. Do you know what I mean?
No, because they needed that character.
But they could have said, you can pay for a really expensive, the best prosthetic moustache that money could buy.
But come on, you take a tash off him and his rough look, and he looks all right, like in Superman. But if they needed that kind of rough,
course.
like, I'm a bit of a bastard kind of look.
They could have said, rather than paying for the moustache, we'll pay for an extra week of production so we can regrow it.
That's going to cost thousands, mate. It's not.
They want him that much. How much did it cost to edit out his moustache in every scene?
Yeah, but that's because he was used after. He's in a different contract now, but then you wanted him back, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't do all your first job. If you would have done it right the first time, you wouldn't have needed him the second, would you?
True that, actually.
There we go.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. That's been the mysterious death of George Reeves. I hope you enjoyed it. He, like you say, he was an absolute legend. And in terms of Superman, I mean, I do actually really like the old show, and I like the style of it. I love all those older kind of. Like I said, I was watching the old Wonder Woman, and Batman 66 is really cool, and he's actually. This isn't a bit of a kind of a weird one, but you should check it out. Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman have started watching the Batman 66 and doing a commentary podcast for it, so you can watch along with the classic episodes. And Ralph Garman just knows everything about the classic Batmans, and it's classic Batman. He gives all the info. He's really cool. So definitely check them out if you can. And it's free, so and you can literally stick a Batman episode on and watch along with them.
Nah, sorry, I'm going to watch Batman. I'm going to watch Batman, not someone talk over Batman.
Kapow, kasplat. But I think they were all getting a bit too excited over Catwoman the other day. Like, they were like, it's a Catwoman episode.
Not surprised.
It's like, getting a bit... what was she called? There was a couple of people who played
Harry Berry.
No, the classic '66 Batman.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, Eartha Kitt, and but I think Julie Newmar. Yeah,
Julie Umar.
Shut up! You don't know nothing. You.
No, I don't know nothing.
Right. Anyway, well, it won't be long. We've got some news coming up.
We have indeed.
Okay. Well, here it is. It's the news! Oh yeah, we've checked all the news from around the globe to find the best and the weirdest news around. What can I say? What more can I do? There's not much going on. This world is a crazy place. What can I say? And I mean, some of the stories is just blatant reflection on that. I found some,
Well, did you hear what happened yesterday?
Go on. What happened yesterday? I'll let you go for it.
It'd be yesterday. A plane over Colorado, its engine.
I did hear about this, actually.
Yeah. Boeing 777. Hey, it's Boeing again. They're back in the news. What do you expect?
Reliability.
Yeah, tell me about it.
When you fly Boeing,
Yeah, according about 1 p.m. Local time, 8 p.m. GMT time, Saturday, passengers were shocked when the engine, the right side engine, blew basically.
Yeah.
And there's a guy called Bob Brown who's got a good clip of it. He should be on the YouTube. And it shows you, he's sitting right next to it, and it shows you but pieces were going all over Colorado.
It's funny you should bring it up, because I have heard about this story. I do actually have a story linked to this, and it's from Newsweek, and it says, I thought it was a piece of a UFO.
Yeah.
A Colorado resident reacts to falling plane debris.
Yeah, I mean, there's big parts as well, because one of them thought that it was next door's trampoline.
Well, I mean, it does look a bit kind of like, what the fuck? It doesn't look like anything you'd generally find scrap-wise, do you know what I mean?
Definitely not.
So, at first, I could imagine, you might think it was part of a UFO, especially if it's just fell out of the sky in front of you.
Well, it's unidentified flying objects, isn't it?
There was an 81-year-old resident who said that he thought it resembled something like a UFO, and he thought they might have been under attack. I know, yeah. But like you say, it turned out to be a part of the Boeing 777 engine.
Yeah, it's like
United Flights 328. Are they taking care of planes these days? Because, I mean, I've noticed there's been quite a lot of more aviation disasters recently than there has been in recent years. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, because I've never heard so many accidents.
Does seem to be a few.
Let's put my fingers in the air.
Are they kicking the tyres on the runway? Are they doing all the maintenance checks and all that?
And not unless, I remember
I watched Airplane recently again, that old school classic, where he's like, that is literally the joke, isn't it? Where it's like, when you're at the lights and you got someone who comes over and he does the squeegee.
Oh,
and checks your oil with a dipstick and all that. Yeah, it's like, they're on the runway and now they're getting them safety checks, but he's like, pops the hood and he ends up falling down. Sorry.
I just think it's because they've computerized it more, and you can't override certain systems, which has been an issue over the last couple of years. But I don't think it's human error. I think it's more computer error, and that like the systems.
So what you're saying that? So you're saying that it's
you only need a pilot to land.
A human is more vigilant. In other words, is that what you're trying to say? Like a human would have noticed. That may be that error, whereas the computers missed it.
It can only learn what it's been taught. It can't learn any more than that. We can. We
got
know
instincts.
What certain
We've got
things,
instinctual stuff where it's like something's telling me that's not right, so I need to sort that out.
more and more things are becoming more and more computerized to knock us out the system. So you're going to find more and more accidents.
I don't think that plane's supposed to be on fire. Something's telling me. Me instincts.
Well, this is it, you know what I mean? Like, you can't get better instincts than,
my spidey senses
flesh.
Tingling.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and, like, in certain aspects, we should use a lot of computers, but then in others, you need to be careful.
Fire plane tingly senses tingling.
Yeah, and don't forget, they're after our jobs.
You are?
Computers, AI's looking at your job, mate, like, that's a bit of snack.
Well, you know what I mean? It's like, if they can do it better than you, Taylor, then I'm hiring.
Well, but when the accident comes, don't come looking at me and going, I did use this system, but
I'll just get some AI that goes, ha ha ha, well done, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you book our goat?
Did I book our goat? Oh no,
you didn't book the goat.
I didn't book the goat. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
It's all right, no worries. I've got this story. When I find it.
Is it?
For some reason.
No.
For some reason, like, loads of tabs just opened on my on me bloody thing. So talking about loads of windows opening, actually, that just really kind of fell really correct, because this is a story about schools. School officials who have ordered windows to be screwed shut after teachers were opening them to increase ventilation.
Yeah, I think that
Why
is
screw? What do you mean, screw them shut?
Ridiculous.
I mean,
that's
be honest, isn't that a better option to have a bit of ventilation?
It's a fire hazard as well now, that.
Yeah, it's like when you've got the building's on fire and it's like...
Yeah, how am I going to get out of the window, sir? You've
Quick,
screwed
smash
it
the windows. No, it's a COVID risk. It's like, what do we do?
There's a claim. There's a claim waiting with your name on it.
It's like, we could partially open the window, but it's got a little bit of chain. And
it just seems to me that it's getting more and more that the value of a person is becoming less and less.
It is, isn't
valuable.
It? So, I mean, but what's the toss-up? I mean, it's like, well, what's more valuable? Are they more worried about the value of their crappy school? Or
or the person
do you know
who's
what I
in
mean? It's like, it's a chicken and the egg situation.
Yeah, that's it. But, like, it's not difficult as long as the person's safe.
Students.
Everything's right. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things, like, that hopefully we'll learn as time goes on, but I fucking doubt it.
I mean, yeah, it's not a good idea. I mean, sort of like locking your children into the building and, like you say, causing fire risks and all sorts of stuff like that. It's definitely not a good idea. Ventilation at the moment, yes.
Yeah, you need ventilation, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, don't want to sit in a room with someone smelling all day now, do you?
Yeah, you want to be heading. You want a bit. I want to go to the countryside a little bit now, and get a bit of proper country air. Do you know what I mean?
Man. I think a lot of people should.
Honestly, that sounds really appealing at the moment. I mean, but a
lot of people moving out to the country now at the moment.
I've got this story about a farmer. Yeah, he's called Joe Simpson, and he's basically said that he's been visited by aliens.
Good lad.
And not only did he get visited by aliens, they brought him a gift.
Oh, right. Oh, nice of him.
Of pancakes as a farewell.
Pancakes?
Yeah, pancakes. That's what you get people when you're saying
just
goodbye.
Pancakes? No syrup, nothing.
Well,
basically,
this is what he's saying. Joe said he's a chicken farmer. And aliens visited him on the 11th of April, and about 11 a.m. Right. This was in 1961, by the way. Right.
All right. Okay. All right.
And they gifted him some cosmic pancakes.
Did he eat them?
He's actually got a photo. He said, he was 60 years of age at the time, and the incident. Basically, when he saw an object, when then it landed, he claims that he was curiously peeked in, and he saw a metallic UFO type object.
Yeah,
and they brought him pancakes.
That sounds a bit. That just sounds a bit suspect myself. Why pancakes? Why pancakes? If anything, then if that's the case, then I would say he's probably an abductee.
Wait, I'm just looking at this, and the dates don't seem to add up here, right?
Okay, why?
Look at this, right? So, he was a chicken farmer, blah, blah, right? He was visited by aliens on the 11th of April, 1961.
Okay.
Yeah, right? He says he was 60 at the time of the incident, right? So what year are we in now?
2021.
So how old's this guy?
Him a lot older. Probably the oldest man in the world.
I think we found a hole in this story.
I think we may.
And it's not, and it could be pancake shaped. Well, there you go.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? It's like show us a pancake.
Wait, so there's 150 at least.
If you were given a pancake by some species, never mind some person, some species you've never seen before, why would you eat it? Why don't you test it first or go, right,
I'm going to take this. He said
I'm going to take this to the papers. I'm going to make him save millions.
I'm telling you, this is what he's telling us. Yeah. So, what do you think?
I think there's a bit suspect there, but, if it's true, it's true.
I liked it.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's a little story.
I've got another little story for you here. Yeah, imagine my surprise. A woman finds a snake in a toilet. Imagine
a snake in the toilet.
She called the police.
What for, a vet?
To get him in to check. Obviously.
What's it going to do? Get his truncheon out and beat it back into the bog?
Obviously, they hurled round to try and support and get the snake out of the bowl. This was in Czechoslovakia.
Right.
So, in Milo Vice, in the town of Milo Vice. Milo, it's like Miami Vice, but less Miami, but more Milo. They discovered was not a snake.
Oh, what, rat?
Nope.
Mouse?
Nope.
What?
It was a shit when it was in the shit in the toilet. That's what it was. It was a piece of poo in the toilet. And when she looked at it, snake. No, it's not. Poo.
Oh, no. And please tell me the officer grabbed hold of it to see if it had
Well, they received a call from a terrified woman telling them that they found a snake in the toilet. So they've obviously gone round. The police hurled round to the apartment thinking that there was a big snake, coming out of the toilet bowl and what they could best describe as a big piece of poo. They arrived on the scene and they found, it covered, in fucking... the toilet lid was covered in electronics. So,
electronics?
She's put the lid down and she's put a load of stuff on top of the lid to try and keep...
so the monster don't come out of the toilet.
She doesn't release the beast.
Release the brown snake.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Nasty. Oh, yeah, I'd just love it if the copper actually grabbed hold of... I just hope he did.
It makes you like, you know
just
what,
I'm not being
thinking, you know what guys are like. Yeah, there's someone out there who's really pleased with themselves, isn't there? He's like, not only was it massive, but it convinced a woman it was a snake to the point where she phoned the police.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's a sore bottom that night.
It's an achievement. That's all I can say. Well done, that man.
You're roughage.
Or woman. I'm not being sexist,
Yeah. Oh, no, don't. Nah, a woman couldn't bring something that big out.
Well, a Minnesota business is selling self-cleaning underwear, so you might be able to get away with it either way.
What the fuck? What have you got? A window wiper underneath that gives it a shine?
I don't know. Well, they're called. Is it Hecklon? And they basically appeared on Shark Tank last Friday. And they've pitched their idea for bed sheets, and they don't know you don't have to wash them for months because of self-cleaning, and they've also branched out into underwear. Sounds pretty... I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Because how's it going to self-clean if it's
well, that'll be the secret, won't it?
Yeah, but if it's some kind
of
like...
it does make it more eco-friendly because you have to wash it less and you don't have to use
in that way,
washing powders and electricity to...
What does it leave behind as well? Like, you can't wash it. If you wash it directly afterwards, do you have to put something on it afterwards? Or does it automatically, it's clean?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I'm not saying this.
I'll ring them up and...
do you think I look like a skidologist?
Yeah, you do, actually.
This is it. This is why George Reeves, all the Superman, come to me for getting those stubborn stains out of the capes.
Oh, give him a good...
Do you know what I'm saying?
Clean. So, burn him out with his eyes.
No, that doesn't work.
It gets rid of the stain.
It might do.
Oh, definitely does.
Any news you've seen this week?
I have, actually. Israeli archaeologists have unearthed... Well, actually, builders. That's the one. Had unearthed a pair of stone, caskets.
Yeah.
With mystical symbols for protection of the soul.
Soul stones.
Yeah, it's supposed to have been there from about 180.
Legitimately. So what are they supposed to be doing, these stones?
Well, they're supposed to be... It sounds like...
It sounds like the Wonder Woman 2 plot. Are they magic? Wishing stones.
This is the thing that got me on this, because it's supposed to be a protection symbols to stop someone from being harmed on their journey to heaven or hell. And then that made me question that, hold on, we've always believed that when we die, we go straight to either heaven or hell. What's this protection for the in-between?
Purgatory, man.
Well, yeah, but...
Well, this bit here, what we're in now.
Yeah, but it's... Well, yeah, that's what I'd say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then these symbols should be, I don't know, put on us for some protection. It might be protection for us, like you said. We're in the realm now that could be a symbol to protect us to go.
Well, yeah, we might need
south
that.
Or north.
Can somebody grab me that symbol? Yeah. I'll get it tattooed on my fucking ass.
I'm gonna take some pictures of the fuckers. Yeah,
I'm gonna get it tattooed on my ass if that's gonna be bringing me good luck, please.
Yeah,
please, it'd be nice.
Well, it was found in a park that was dug up years ago, but then they just put them aside and didn't realise what they were.
Was it next to the king by any chance?
Eh?
Was it next to that king in the car park?
Oh, no, definitely not. This was in Israel.
Oh, right.
Yeah, just a bit of a distance down the road from it. But, so they finally basically got some archaeologists to have a look at it, and they've seen him, and it's the first time they found the symbol. And it goes from about 2000 to 3000 BC.
Right, cool. That's actually really cool. I like that.
Hopefully we'll get more info on that soon.
I'm just trying to fucking get all my news in order. I'm trying to... Anything else you've seen while I'm doing that?
Yeah, all right then. I've got important news, I'd say, especially for those in Britain. Mid-incomers households to be hit by a 2 billion council tax on bombshell. I know. So that's, they reckon, up to 5% annual bills from this April. This April. And it's low to mid-end incomers households have been hit by 16 years of increases in England above the rate of inflation. Nice which means we're paying fucking a lot when we shouldn't fucking be paying it.
Well, we all kind of saw it coming, didn't we, really? We
did, to be honest. But it's a sort of sneaky one because Labour brought this out, told people about this. It was put in The Guardian. But it's a sort of sneaky Boris one because he did say that no taxes will be going up or anything like that. But there is, and I'm expecting other taxes to come in, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, won't we?
Yeah, let's watch this space.
Did you see this? fucking hell, customs. Well, this is you might not have seen it because it's a states customs, United States Customs and Border Protection, the CBP officers. They found a shipment of cocaine, and this is a really weird one, because this is using your old noggin. This, but they did get caught, so I don't know how much of if it was a good idea or not. They had shipped their cocaine in the form of frosted flakes. Frosted corn flakes. So, a shipment of cocaine-coated cornflakes originating in South America, and basically shipment was on its way from Peru and designed to get to Hong Kong, or basically trying to get to Hong Kong. It was pulled up, and on closer inspection, officials noticed that the white powder was a bit greyish, and the substance coated the cereal flakes was not sugar, and was something a bit more to it. So they looked into it, and it was cocaine. Substance was a substance class 2 drug, isn't it?
Yeah. I would have thought that's a shit way to do it, because you would have lost a lot of money, because you're carrying it in really small. Well, really tiny packages, and then you've got to get it off the substance when you get there. I'm pretty sure
that they've got the ways, they've probably got the methods of doing it and like trying to get it off, but it's trying anything possible to get any things in the country now, isn't it? Especially with the way the world is. I mean, I reckon, and I mean, I don't encourage smuggling or anything like that, but I can only imagine that it was a lot easier pre-pandemic to get stuff into countries. Nowadays it's like you can't even get a person in. Well, it's harder to get people into countries rather than even packages.
It gives the talent of the smuggler to get the time and think about it in different ways. And I think this is where
like he sat there and gone, right, they're never going to find this.
I'm only sending food.
But it's a proper stoner idea as well. It's like, I'm going to coat him. He sat there, he's been eating his cereal and looked at his cereal and went, do you know what? I think I can get away with this. If I just coat these with Coke, I'll be honestly.
Putting it on the table, smashing it up, snorting it up.
I know, you've got bits of fucking bran stuck to the head, stuck to the old brain.
Oh, get rid of that later.
Not for me.
Hey, stop Corona, won't it?
Well, this is it, because you end up taking like a fucking, a multi-pack out with you for a night out, like one of those, do you know one of those like breakfast multi-packs you get when you're a kid?
Imagine getting pulled over by the police. What have you got? I know you got some multi-pack there, mate.
It's like, I've got loads of pills and ease and all sorts for this week's club. What are you bringing? Ricicles, mate. Ricicles. Yeah, fucking hell, mate. Got some Cocoa Pops for later, mate, when I'm on the come down.
You're off your set, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm on cornflakes.
You will be.
Do you know what I mean? So I thought that was hilarious.
It happens, though, isn't it? Where there's a will, there's a way. Someone really dedicated to wanting to get rid of their product some way. They'll always find some other way. It's
imagination. That's that's
it. You can't stop everything at the end of the day, even though the government's trying.
Well, talking about imagination, this is one that I didn't agree with. But I mean, I don't think this is actually imagination. This is just taking a piss. A Florida woman wearing a granny disguise tried to get ahead of the queue by trying to pose as a granny to get a COVID vaccine.
That's a bit wrong, that.
Well, 2 women aged 34 and 44 were rumbled whilst wearing bonnets and gloves in the vaccination centre.
You know what? I to be honest, I probably feel a bit of sympathy for them, because they're probably a bit scared over it, and that's why they've taken this risk to try and get vaccinated.
To get vaccinated,
because it's not like hundreds of thousands of people doing it. It's the odd one person aired. So you've got to think of the element of, there's a lot of people out there who are fearful, and like the government doesn't help.
Oh yeah, totally. And I'm not disputing if you're fearful for what's going on, life. And you want to remain, protected. Then you're going to want the vaccine. I mean, unfortunately, not everyone's on the top of the list, and it's going to take a little time for everybody to get it. everyone
and they're in a better
hopefully
position
will
than
be
an
getting
older
it.
person.
It's just that it makes it easier if the vulnerable and the older people get it first, because they're the ones who are more likely to end up in hospital with it. So get them guys sorted out, and then it's actually less likely that, you know, we might need it as quick. Do you know what I mean?
To be honest, I hope they haven't been arrested. I hope they've actually been sat down and you know, the officer or the doctors turned around and told them the reason why that percentage, and try and, you know, calm the person down.
Well, they've been kind of shamed, haven't they, about it? But I mean, there was a story the other day about a doctor who was actually giving away excess vaccines, and he's lost his job through it because, you know, he was giving away these vaccines that were going to go fucking off by the end of the day, and if he didn't give them away, they were just going to be wasted. So where's the problem with that, giving that away? I mean, like, if I was at the end of the day and I had these 2 Florida women turned up and they were dressed like elderly, and I'd go, listen, ladies, you don't need to do, if you're that worried about it, I've got these spares, you can have them. Do you know what I mean? But apparently that's illegal. I don't know where the line is in terms of what you're allowed to do there. Have you just got to throw it away?
No, well, there's a big argument at the minute, and we've just signed an agreement, England, as basically excess or medication that we're going to have left over, because we've got, I think, 3 times the amount that we really need. That, when it comes to we don't need it no more, we will give to the third world. And that's the agreement that all the countries are coming up with.
You can't. It's like once it comes out.
But if it's under date, I agree with
like you've got the Pfizer one, which is the one that needs to be kept in the cool chamber. Yeah. Once it comes out and it's been you know, brought out of that fridge, it's useless. So what's the third world going to do with it? Look at it. They can't do anything with it. It's a waste. It's a wasted thing. So,
but China and Russia are actually ahead of the game. They're the ones who are going to the third world countries and countries that can't afford it. But we're only giving it the extra later on.
Giving them the second hands.
Yeah, basically we are giving them the second hand.
No, we would need to give them their own. You need to kind of say this much money is going towards vaccinations, global.
Well, there's a $5 trillion
and everybody,
agreement.
I mean, at the end of the day, mate, it's like you can see how this is going to be spreading again if it's not taken care of, and it's in the world's interest to get every fucker in the world vaccinated, not just people in your own country. You know, so you know.
You need to get the vulnerable people, and not just all in 1 or 2 different countries.
Otherwise, it's just a couple of years' time, we're back in the same boat. Because
well, this is where the health organisation should be doing that kind of job, and they don't seem to be like rushing off the fate. But then in another funny kind of way, they might be waiting to see what the counter action would be.
It's funny as well, though, because it's like all these kind of independent like studies are coming out. I mean, Elon Musk has set up a COVID-19 antibody study at the SpaceX facility, and he's got over 4,500 employees taking part. According to reports. So, you know, I mean, people are looking into it and taking it seriously and looking into different ways to research it. I mean, I don't know what he's looking at in terms of antibodies. So is he looking for antibodies that he can kind of turn into a vaccine or his own thing, I take it?
Well, no, because it's been There's a new way of doing it.
Well, it's immunity, isn't it? It's trying to find a people. So he's looking into the possible links between antibodies and immunity.
Yeah, and trying to fix that massive gap. But to be honest, it's one of them areas that I don't think would ever be and need to be fixed, because it's how we progress, you know, as our DNA progresses. That's, I think, why this time they've gone into DNA and RNA to try and cure instead of the old, we'll give them a bit and let the body fight it, and then
because he's saying like people can have antibodies, but doesn't mean that they're going to be immune. So it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, the Prime Minister was actually asked today about that, because there was, from the start or they didn't know if
and someone
once
got
you've had the injection.
Again. Yeah, someone's been reinfected.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, look at that one who got infected twice. That Chinese guy, he left the country, went somewhere else. He already been infected. He'd been clean, went and then come back. I mean, we're still.
We've seen a couple of them, to be honest. So I wouldn't even think it was like one story. I think that's happened a couple of times, and especially the problem was people were worried after having the vaccine, would they be able to get reinfected? And this person got reinfected with a variant. So who knows if that's
why they don't sort of mention it, because they don't actually know it was one of them things from the start. But we'll find out eventually. But it's one of them. Time will tell.
Okay.
We've just got those who really need it, take it. Those who don't, it's up to you. You know what I mean?
Anything else you've got to discuss?
Funny.
I've got a bit of NASA
well, not so
news and
funny.
Stuff.
Talking about viruses, Russian report world's first case of human influenza with H5H8
exciting
bird flu. Yeah, but luckily it happened in December. They caught it with 7 people who got it, and they're feeling better, and it looks like everything looks like it's you know,
will feel better. We've got enough on our plate at the moment without adding to it.
Last thing we need is another one that comes out. You know what I mean? Another disease on top of this.
Yeah.
And even another one after that. We've got to be really careful at the moment.
Be careful, innit?
Yeah, that's it.
Did you see this, right? Do you know, like, with all this going on, and obviously people have been a bit more restricted in what they're doing, right? And do you know the Pope? He used to go to the windows, didn't he? And he'd be like, "Hey, my people," and he'd wave a bit, bit like, "My Pope man," and he'd stand there waving. Well, there's been a bit kind of some strange activity, because I mean, there's a bit of suspicion now to say that they think that the windows are fake, and what we're seeing is a video. And it's glitched out a little bit. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So people now are conspiracy theorists are saying that actually it's not the Pope. It's not the Pope at the Vatican.
He's doing a 2-pack.
He's doing a 2-pack. They're trying to hide him. Yeah. So the footage, there's actual footage there of during the broadcast where the Pope Francis has a speech on the balcony. And it basically glitches out a little bit. The technology is supposed to be like holograms. So, like, obviously, it's not putting him at risk. I'll send you the video.
Yeah, I think I could believe it. I mean, I think they actually might have done it on other occasions, and we don't even have.
It's actually it's such a small window as well. It's like literally like using a big TV.
Yeah.
Do you know all you'd need to do is film that Pope entering, waving, and exiting, and that's it, innit?
Yeah. I mean,
they say they didn't land on the moon. I think that Pope's not at that window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You see which one's the most plausible? The Pope being at the window. But the thing is, they probably did land on the moon and the Pope's not at the window. That's the weird bit.
He at the window?
Because the most easier one isn't true. That's what it will be like.
Yeah, but it still gives a mystery of why would you?
Why?
You know what I mean?
It's just unreasonably fucking daft.
Was he an extra 5 minutes in bed or something? What, lazy? What's going on?
Anyway,
you know what I mean?
Do you know the Mars rover went up? We were talking about it earlier. I was amazed how...
I'm joking.
See, I was amazed at how the pictures that came back so quickly. And it was the pictures that were on like its landing camera or the underside camera, which helps it check out the terrain.
Yeah.
Apparently we're getting some really a lot more detailed images coming out in the future. But there's already people saying that they're spotting UFOs and spacecrafts in the new images. So images that have come back from the Mars Perseverance, one person said it's clear to see UFO objects that have appeared in the images. They can see what looks like a landing pad, and even a UFO city in the picture. And they're looking at new arrivals as they come in, new images as they get them. What do you reckon?
Well, to be honest, I'd rather wait and give it time because don't forget it's just landed, so the dust ain't settled that much
to get the to skew the narrative and say that the story was basically being covered up and they were changing things and all the rest of it. So there was a lot of conspiracy straight away. You know what people say?
That makes it sound like news. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just makes me think. Why have you jumped on? You probably haven't even seen the image yet. You just jumped on the bandwagon and go, oh, there's something there. Bring something to the table and then we can discuss it. There's been loads of pictures before.
See, it's like, this is it. We landed on the moon. So other people keep saying to me, I put on Facebook, what's the most ridiculous conspiracy? And that seems to be a popular one, that we landed on the moon. I mean, I don't know if she's saying that she's pro landing on the moon there or negative, like negatory.
I still think it's both.
Negatory on moon landing. I think it's both.
It's just I just from the evidence I've seen up to now.
From the evidence I've seen, it is both. I think exactly that. And I think, and it is the same with tonight's story tonight with George Reeves. I think it's all of them. Right. It's like, it's like sometimes it's if you've gone through all the possibilities and the one that's the most fucking like
Sherlock Holmes,
it has to be. That's the one. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So you tell me I'm wrong. Right. Anyway.
Yeah. Unless you can prove otherwise, and yet the proof
is in the pudding.
Yeah. Big pudding, and it was a big mess.
It's a big pudding, and I ate it.
Yeah. I bet you did.
There you go.
Was it nice?
It was lovely. Right, well, that's the news. Pudding. Shut up, you. Getting on my bloody nerves tonight. I'm only pulling your leg. Well, we've got a promo this week, and it's a good one. Our featured podcast this week is Riddle Me That. It's a true crime podcast released on Wednesdays. Riddle Me That is hosted by a true crime and mystery enthusiast who takes a deep dive into the facts and unsolved cases, disappearances and mysteries, and all things mysterious. If you're gonna love it, is the promo.
Hi, I'm Jules from Riddle Me That True Crime. I have a passion for all things crime and psychology, and I have a PhD in transpersonal counseling. So I love research, and I like to do deep dives into cases. I recently did a 3-part series on the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. I promise you, this is coverage that you haven't heard anywhere else. I also do cases that are lesser known, such as the case of Keith Warren, who in 1986 was found hanging from a tree in Silver Spring, Maryland. His death was classified as a suicide, but things don't add up in the case. Keith was found wearing clothes that weren't his. The 911 caller said that someone had committed suicide in her boyfriend's basement, and when emergency services arrived, the body was in the woods and not in the basement. Keith's mother, Mary, would receive a manila envelope that would call the suicide conclusion by police into question. There were copies of police photos and a note that predicted the death of Keith's friend, Mark Finley. Mark Finley calls Mary to unburden himself, but he would never get the chance. Before he gets a chance to meet up with Mary, he is killed in a freak accident, though some believe it was murder. 2020 is a strange year, and it is comforting to have a favorite podcast to keep you company. I would love to be that podcast. Subscribe to Riddle Me That True Crime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and wherever you get your podcasts.
There you go. Want to be
brilliant, man.
Big shout out to Riddle Me That for sending us a promo. She's got some really good. She's got a really good episode coming up in the next couple of weeks. A big case. So make sure you go and subscribe to that. And like I say, she's covered Madeleine McCann and a few other cases as well. And definite stuff that you've not heard before. So go and check it.
Check it out.
Big shout out to all our Patreons and other shout outs this week. Big shout out to Big J.
Yes, Jay.
Big shout out to Dunk Dunk.
Dunk Dunk. Yeah.
Let's hear it for Spoosh.
Swooshy, wooshy, wooshy.
And we got a big shout out to Mr. Taylor himself.
Thank you very much.
If you like what we do and you want to help us out, you know what to do. Get over to Patreon, or you can even buy us a coffee. Buy us a coffee. At the links provided, patreon.com/neverstraightanswer or Neverstraightanswer, or buy me a coffee at NASA Pod. We've got some tiers there, all different ways that you can help support and get involved. If you want a shout out, or you want a kind of a plug for your business or your project or whatever you do, you can get one by supporting us over on Patreon.
Yes, you can.
You can do that. You can send us a question if you would like. You can send that to neverstraightanswer@gmail.com. You can go to the website at www.neverstraightanswer.co.uk, and you can email us through that. We're available on Twitter at NASA_never, Instagram at Neverstraightanswer, and we're available wherever you get your podcast fix.
Just get in contact with us.
Yeah, Taylor, we're bored, man. We need some.
Yeah, we need some. We need some questions. Give us some questions, and we'll answer it throughout the week.
Well, this is the thing: I got to crack me back. Then, I've got another idea for a new segment. So, and we'll go into that another time. But
yes.
You know what to do. We're available on all podcast platforms, wherever you get your podcast, and we're also available on YouTube, where we put out extra content during the week with videos and all sorts. So check out the website, check us out on social. We'll be back next week for another episode. What is it next week? We've got a good one next week, actually.
Oh yes, we've got a good one. You brought this to the table.
Oh yeah.
This is good. I'll be looking at bits.
Plus, we've got some guests coming up in the near future as well. So, look forward to that.
Definitely.
Right. Well.
Always.
Well, I'm going to call it a night. I've been Gaz.
I think so. I've been Taylor.
I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We'll catch you next time. This is the Never a Straight Answer podcast. Peace.